You say yes when you really want to say no. You twist yourself into a pretzel just to keep everyone else happy, only to end up feeling empty and resentful later. This is the classic nice guy trap, where your own values get buried under a desperate need for approval. It is an exhausting way to live, but there is an ancient antidote, a philosophy designed for exactly this struggle. Stoicism does not build a wall around your emotions. It forges an unshakable inner strength, allowing your authentic character to finally shine through. In this video, we will explore 25 powerful Stoic insights that systematically dismantle the nice guy mindset. You will walk away with a clear blueprint for replacing people-pleasing with genuine confidence. We will uncover why rejection can be your greatest teacher and how your mortality is the key to living more boldly. What was the first moment you realized that being nice was costing you your self-respect? That moment of realization, that quiet ache of self-betrayal, is where the work truly begins. And the very first tool Stoicism gives you is a simple yet profound sorting mechanism. It is called the dichotomy of control. Your energy is a finite resource, and the nice guy mindset is a massive leak. You are pouring it into the impossible task of managing how others see you, whether they approve of you, and how they react to your choices. This is a guaranteed path to exhaustion. The Stoics draw a clear, unbreakable line. On one side, you have the things within your control: your own judgments, your values, the integrity of your actions, your voluntary choices, and your desires. These are your inner citadel. On the other side is everything else: the opinions of others, the outcomes of your efforts, your reputation, even your own body and health to a large degree. These are externals. Think about a simple social situation. You cannot control whether someone likes you after you express a differing opinion. That is their judgment, their reaction. It belongs entirely to them, but you have absolute control over whether you state your view with honesty and respect. You control your part. The moment you internalize this distinction, a weight lifts. The anxiety of needing everyone's validation starts to dissolve because you are no longer trying to command the wind and the waves. You are simply learning to sail your own ship with skill. This is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It is about redirecting your effort from the futile to the fruitful. Stop trying to control the applause and start focusing on the quality of your performance. That desperate need for approval is a faulty foundation for a life. You are building your entire sense of worth on a plot of land you do not own, on the ever-shifting opinions of other people. And they can and will change their minds. This brings us to the second Stoic insight, a fundamental truth that shatters the nice guy contract. Your worth is not determined by others. It cannot be given to you, and it cannot be taken away. The ancient Stoics argued that there is only one true good in this life, and it is virtue. Not wealth, not fame, not the comfort of universal approval, but your own inner character. Virtue is expressed through four cardinal strengths: wisdom to see the world clearly, courage to act rightly even when it is difficult, justice in your dealings with others, and temperance, the self-command to master your own desires and impulses. These qualities are entirely internal. They are about the choices you make and the person you choose to become. No one can bestow wisdom upon you. No one can grant you courage. You have to cultivate these things from within. Think about the last time you sacrificed a personal boundary to keep the peace. In that moment, you traded a piece of your courage for a temporary dose of approval. It feels safe in the instant, but it erodes your foundation. Now, contrast that with the feeling of stating a difficult truth with respect, even when your voice shakes. That is courage. That action, regardless of the other person's reaction, immediately builds your inner worth. The outcome is external, but the act itself is a virtuous one. This is where you must anchor your self-esteem. Stop looking for your reflection in the eyes of other people. Their opinions are fickle, changing with their mood and their own self-interest. Instead, build your house on the solid ground of your own efforts and your own character. Ask yourself each night, did I act with integrity today? Did I do my best with the challenges I faced? The answers to those questions are the only measure of your worth that will ever hold firm. When you internalize this, the compulsion to please begins to lose its power. You are no longer a beggar seeking the coins of validation. You are the architect of your own value, and that inner fortress is something no one can ever tear down. The nice guy lives in constant fear of rocking the boat, trading his authenticity for the promise of a smooth, comfortable ride. But this comfort is an illusion, a trap that weakens your spirit day by day. Stoicism offers a direct and powerful antidote to this fear, a third insight that forges resilience by inviting hardship in through the front door. It is called the practice of voluntary discomfort. You consciously choose to embrace small, manageable hardships to prove to yourself in your bones that you can handle adversity. This is not about self-punishment. It is about inoculation. Think of it like building a muscle. You would not expect to lift a heavy weight for the first time and succeed without training. Your resilience, your ability to withstand discomfort and conflict, is the exact same kind of muscle. The nice guy mindset avoids any and all friction, leaving this muscle weak and atrophied. So you start small. You choose to take a cold shower for the final minute. You decide to skip a meal and sit with the feeling of hunger, observing it without panic. You consciously walk the longer route home in the rain. In a social setting, you practice the most powerful form of voluntary discomfort. You have the difficult conversation you have been avoiding. You state your boundary clearly. You voice your disagreement respectfully. You ask for what you truly want. Each time you do this, you are sending a profound message to your deepest self. You are proving that discomfort is not a monster to be feared, but a temporary state you have the capacity to endure. The goal is to break your dependency on a perfectly comfortable, frictionless existence. When you know you can handle the cold, a broken air conditioner becomes a minor inconvenience, not a crisis. When you know you can handle social friction, someone's disapproval loses its power to control your actions. You no longer need everyone to like you because you have tested your own mettle and found it strong. This practice systematically dismantles the nice guy's core belief that conflict is catastrophic. It rewires your nervous system, teaching you that the temporary unease of speaking your truth is far less painful than the slow, corrosive agony of self-betrayal. You stop seeking an easy life from others and start building a resilient life from within. Rejection does not have to be a wound. It can become a whetstone, sharpening your resolve and clarifying your purpose. This is the heart of the fourth Stoic insight, a concept so radical it reorders your entire relationship with life's difficulties. It is called amor fati, the love of fate. For the nice guy, a no feels like a personal annihilation, a verdict on his worth. But the Stoic sees the same event not as a failure but as fuel. Every obstacle, every setback, and yes, every rejection is treated as raw material for your growth. It is not about pretending the pain does not exist. It is about choosing to see the hidden opportunity woven into the fabric of the event itself. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius faced constant betrayal and political intrigue, yet his private writings reveal a man who consistently practiced this love of fate. He did not rage against the traitors in his court. Instead, he framed them as essential training partners. He wrote that such people were put in his path to test his virtue, to strengthen his patience, and to give him a chance to practice justice when he might have preferred vengeance. He loved the betrayal not for the pain it caused, but for the strength it demanded from him. He saw it as a necessary part of his training to become a better ruler and a wiser man. This is the profound refrain you must learn to apply. That job you did not get, that date who turned you down, that friend who let you down, these are not proofs of your inadequacy. They are the specific, custom-designed drills for your personal development. The rejection is the fire that tempers your courage. The setback is the resistance that builds your resilience. When you start to look at your life through this lens, you stop being a victim of circumstance and become a student of it. You begin to greet misfortune not with a sigh of defeat, but with a quiet curiosity, asking, "What is this here to teach me? How can this very situation, exactly as it is, help me practice wisdom or fortify my character?" Amor fati transforms the energy you once spent on resentment into fuel for your own evolution. You stop fighting your story and start loving it, every single chapter, because it is the only one you have, and it is making you who you are meant to become. That deep-seated fear of missing out, that desperate need to be remembered fondly, is a quiet whisper that can govern your entire life. You make choices based on what will avoid conflict, what will make you look good in the eyes of others, all in the hope of securing a comfortable place in their memories. But this is a fragile and borrowed legacy. Stoicism confronts this directly with its fifth insight, a concept that cuts through the noise of social anxiety like a sharp blade. Memento mori, remember you will die. This is not a morbid fixation on the end. It is a profound tool for clarifying your priorities right now. It is the ultimate question posed to your present moment. If my time were suddenly, undeniably limited, would I really spend my final hours twisting myself into a pretzel to win the approval of someone who does not truly see me? Would I stay silent in a meeting to keep the peace when I have an idea that could genuinely help? Would I postpone that difficult but necessary conversation for another day that might never come? The answer that rises up is almost always a resounding no. This reminder of your mortality is not a threat. It is a liberation. It creates a powerful and immediate urgency to stop living on autopilot, to stop trading your authentic self for the temporary comfort of social harmony. Your time is the one truly non-renewable resource you possess. Memento mori forces you to ask if you are investing it wisely or squandering it on the opinions of people whose own memories are just as fleeting as yours. When you internalize this, the need to be the nice guy begins to feel like a tragic waste of a precious life. It shifts your focus from how you will be remembered to how you are living. The goal is not to leave a legacy of being pleasant, but to live a life of purpose and integrity right up until your very last breath. That is a legacy that builds itself moment by courageous moment. Your words are not just sounds you make. They are the architecture of your relationships and the public expression of your inner character. The nice guy, in his desperate flight from conflict, often abandons this architecture, building with the weak materials of half-truths and agreeable silence. This leads us to the sixth Stoic insight, a call to reclaim the power of your voice. Speak with honesty and directness. The philosopher Epictetus offered a crucial guide for this. He said, "If you seek truth, you will not seek to gain a victory by every possible means." Let that sink in. The goal of Stoic communication is not to win an argument, to prove someone wrong, or to manipulate them into liking you. The goal is truth, and when truth is your compass, your words become clear, concise, and kind. They lose their sharp, manipulative edges and their passive-aggressive whispers. Think about the last time you said yes when you meant no. Perhaps a friend asked for a significant favor and you immediately agreed, even though it meant canceling your own important plans. In that moment, you are not seeking truth. You are seeking the victory of their continued approval, and you used your own compliance as the weapon to win it. A Stoic approach would sound entirely different. It is grounded, calm, and free of unnecessary apology. You might say, "I understand you need help with that, and I would love to support you. I have a prior commitment I cannot break, so I will not be able to assist this time." Notice what is absent. There is no lengthy story to justify your choice. There is no begging for understanding. There is simply the clear, respectful statement of your boundary and your reality. The same principle applies when you hold a dissenting opinion. The nice guy either stays silent or offers a weak, watered-down version of his thought to avoid rocking the boat. The Stoic, seeking truth, speaks his mind with calm precision. He might say, "I see your point and I have a different perspective. Here is how I see the situation." He states his view without framing it as an attack on the other person. This is not about being blunt or cruel. It is about trusting that a relationship or a collaboration built on honest expression is infinitely stronger than one built on the shifting sand of false agreement. Every time you speak with this kind of direct honesty, you are doing two things. You are respecting the other person enough to give them your truth, and you are respecting yourself enough to stand firmly within it. You stop using your words as a shield to hide behind and start using them as a tool to build a life of authentic connection. A life built on borrowed values is a house with no foundation. You find yourself constantly checking the room, mirroring beliefs and interests, sanding down your own rough edges just to feel a sense of belonging. This chameleon act is the nice guy's primary survival strategy, but it comes at a devastating cost. Your own character never gets a chance to form. Stoicism offers a powerful corrective to this, a seventh insight that is less a philosophy and more a construction project. You must define your own values. The Stoics spoke of four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, but these are not rigid commands handed down from on high. They are empty vessels waiting for you to fill them with your own personal meaning. What does courage look like in your life? Is it the courage to ask for a raise, to end a relationship that is no longer serving you, or perhaps to simply sit in silence without feeling the need to fill the air with agreeable chatter? And justice, what does it mean for you? Is it about fairness in your business dealings, or is it about defending someone who is being treated poorly, even when it is socially inconvenient? You have to sit down with a blank page and write your own definitions. This is not an intellectual exercise. It is the act of drawing your own map. Without it, you are simply following whoever's path you happen to stumble upon, and you will end up at their destination, not your own. Once you have this clear personal code, your actions begin to align with it. You are no longer making decisions based on the question, "What will make them like me?" You are guided by a far more powerful question: does this action align with my virtue? Does this choice express my definition of courage? Does this silence betray my commitment to justice? When you act from this place of internal alignment, a profound shift occurs. External approval becomes irrelevant, not because you are arrogant, but because you are complete. The applause of others is like noticing the weather outside. It might be pleasant, but it has no bearing on the structural integrity of your house. You are warm and secure inside, living a life that is authentically, unshakably your own. The architecture of your character is only as strong as the foundation of your values. But even with a solid foundation, a single, silent saboteur can prevent you from ever building anything upon it. Your own mind conjuring up phantom futures of conflict and rejection. The nice guy is a master of this dark art. He does not just fear a difficult conversation, he lives through its entire disastrous screenplay a dozen times before it even happens. What if she gets angry? What if they think I am selfish? What if this one small no unravels the entire fabric of the relationship? He suffers the pain of rejection 100 times over for a single event that may never occur. The Stoic philosopher Seneca cut directly to the heart of this self-inflicted torture. He wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The imagined future, with all its catastrophic details, is almost always far worse than the actual event. Your mind is a brilliant special effects studio, capable of producing horror films starring you, and you are the only one in the audience. This is not just anxiety, it is a form of voluntary suffering you are choosing to endure for a problem that does not yet exist. So how do you shut down the production? You move the horror film from the screen of your mind onto the cold, hard page. The technique is disarmingly simple, yet its power is immediate. Take a blank piece of paper and write down the absolute worst-case scenario. If I say no to this request, my friend will be furious and never speak to me again. If I ask for that promotion, my boss will laugh and list all my shortcomings. Get it all out, every dreadful detail. Now look at what you have written. The monster is no longer a vague, shapeless fear in the dark of your mind. It has a form, it has words, and now you do the second part. You write down your plan for handling this worst-case scenario. If my friend never speaks to me again, then I will know that our friendship was conditional on my compliance, and I will grieve its loss while focusing on the relationships that respect my boundaries. If my boss belittles me, I will listen calmly, take any valid feedback, and begin updating my resume, knowing my worth is not defined by one person's opinion. This simple act of planning does something profound. It transforms you from a passive victim of a frightening future into an active agent with a strategy. The fear does not magically disappear, but its power over you collapses. You have looked the monster in the eye and you have a plan. The next time that anxious thought starts to play its film, you can calmly interrupt it. I have already seen this movie and I know how it ends. I have a plan. This is how you stop suffering in the theater of your imagination and start living in the real world, where your problems are almost always smaller, simpler, and far more manageable than your mind ever led you to believe. A stop sign is just an invitation to find a different route. For the nice guy, any form of rejection or disapproval is a final, impassable barrier. It is a signal to retreat back into the safety of silence and compliance. But the Stoic sees that same obstacle and recognizes it not as a blockade, but as the very material from which the path forward is built. This is the ninth insight, the core idea that an obstacle is not in your way, it is the way. Think of Thomas Edison and his quest to create a practical electric light. He did not fail 10,000 times. He would famously say that he simply found 10,000 ways that would not work. Each failed prototype was not a defeat. It was a data point, a necessary step that eliminated a dead end and brought him incrementally closer to a solution. The obstacle, in this case the failure of a specific material or design, was not something to be lamented. It was the essential, gritty work of discovery. Now apply that exact same mindset to the social world that the nice guy finds so terrifying. You express a genuine opinion and a colleague dismisses it. The nice guy sees this as a catastrophic stop sign. I should never speak up again. The Stoic sees it as a crucial piece of data. This person is not receptive to this type of idea, or perhaps I need to communicate it more clearly next time. It is not a verdict on your worth, it is information. That person you asked out who said no, that is not a rejection of your entire being. It is a clear, direct signpost. This is not the right path for a romantic connection. It saves you months or years of investing energy in a direction that would not have borne fruit. Every single no you receive is simply another way that will not work, freeing you to redirect your efforts toward the ways that might. The obstacle of someone's anger when you set a boundary is not proof that you are wrong to set it. It is the fire that forges your resolve, teaching you to hold your ground even when the heat is intense. The path to an authentic life is not a smooth, pre-paved highway. It is a trail you blaze yourself, and every single obstacle you encounter, every disapproving glance, every difficult no, is a rock or a fallen log that you use to build the next part of your journey. The obstacle is not just something you overcome, it is the substance of your strength. It is the way you become who you are meant to be. Your mind is a courtroom that never adjourns, constantly delivering verdicts on yourself and everyone around you. The nice guy is both the harshest judge and the most unreliable witness in this internal drama. He sentences himself for the smallest social misstep and presumes the worst intentions in others, a cycle that fuels his anxiety and erodes his peace. Stoicism offers a radical alternative to this exhausting practice, a 10th insight that quiets the gavel and opens the door to clarity, withhold judgment. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote a simple reminder to himself each morning, a line that can dismantle this entire cycle. Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. He did not write this to cultivate cynicism. He followed it with a crucial explanation, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil. This is the profound shift. When someone acts poorly, the Stoic does not immediately leap to the conclusion that they are a bad person. Instead, they see a person who is mistaken, who is ignorant of what truly constitutes a good life. They are confusing a trivial external, like winning an argument or getting their way, with the genuine good of living with virtue. Think about the last time someone cut you off in traffic. The nice guy's mind instantly delivers a verdict. That person is a selfish jerk. This judgment then triggers a cascade of anger and frustration, disrupting your own inner calm. The Stoic response is to pause and admit a simple, humbling truth. I do not have all the facts. Perhaps that driver is rushing to the hospital. Perhaps they are distracted by a personal crisis. Or perhaps they are simply ignorant of good driving etiquette. Their action is outside your control. Your judgment of that action and the emotional storm that follows is entirely within your control. By withholding the final verdict, you choose to understand rather than to condemn. You free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of other people's behavior. This practice is even more critical when you turn it inward. That social blunder you cannot stop replaying in your head, that time you stumbled over your words. The nice guy judges himself mercilessly for these moments, convinced everyone noticed and is now judging him just as harshly. But you must apply the same principle to yourself. You are doing your best with the knowledge and emotional state you had in that moment. Perhaps you were tired or anxious or simply human. Withhold the final, damning judgment. Seek to understand why you acted that way, learn from it, and then let the case be closed. This is not about making excuses. It is about moving from a place of self-condemnation to a place of calm observation. When you stop judging, you stop giving away your power. Another person's rude comment becomes a data point about their current state of mind, not a verdict on your worth. Your own perceived failures become lessons, not life sentences. The courtroom in your mind falls silent, and in that quiet, you find the unshakable peace that the nice guy was searching for all along. That internal courtroom is finally quiet, but a new question arises. With all that judgment set aside, what is the actual work you are supposed to be doing in the world? The nice guy has a clear but flawed answer. He believes his work is to engineer positive feelings in everyone around him. His moral compass is permanently pointed toward the approval of others. Stoicism offers a profound correction, an 11th insight that redefines the very nature of your responsibility. Your duty is to act rightly. Your only moral obligation is to perform the correct action with the correct intention. The outcome, the final result, is not your business. It never was. This is a complete shift in focus. The nice guy is obsessed with the harvest, constantly checking if the seeds he planted are making everyone else happy. The Stoic is entirely focused on the quality of the seeds he is planting, trusting that a good seed is its own reward, regardless of the weather or the soil. Think about the role of a good friend. Your duty is to offer caring, honest advice when someone you care about is heading toward a mistake. You prepare your words with wisdom and compassion. You speak your truth with courage. That is the entirety of your job. Whether your friend listens to you, gets angry, or completely ignores your advice, that is their choice. It belongs to them. The outcome is in their hands, not yours. The nice guy cannot separate these two things. If his friend gets upset, he feels he has failed in his duty. He will backtrack, apologize for his honesty, and try to manage his friend's emotional state, effectively abandoning his own integrity. He feels responsible for an outcome he was never in control of. When you internalize the Stoic view, a heavy, invisible chain snaps. you are liberated from the impossible burden of managing other people's emotions. You can give the honest feedback, set the firm boundary, or make the difficult request, and do it with a clean conscience, because your conscience is only concerned with your action, not their reaction. Your worth is not tied to their response. You did your part, you acted with virtue. The rest is not your story to write. This is not a license to be callous. In fact, it demands more care because you are no longer acting from a place of fear, but from a place of principle. Your duty is to be just and kind in your actions. The emotional aftermath is territory that belongs to someone else, and you can trust them to navigate their own landscape. Fear thrives in the shadows of the unknown, where your imagination can conjure monsters of any size. The nice guy, desperate to avoid these shadows, shrinks his world down to a small, predictable box, avoiding any risk that might trigger disapproval. But Stoicism offers a torch to illuminate those dark corners, a 12th insight known as premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is not about expecting the worst to happen. It is about rehearsing your strength in case it ever does. You actively and calmly visualize a specific challenge unfolding. You do not just picture losing your job. You walk through the entire scenario in your mind. You see the meeting with your manager, you hear the words, you feel the initial jolt of fear, and then, crucially, you visualize your own stoic response. You see yourself responding with dignity, thanking them for the opportunity, and immediately beginning to plan your next steps. You do not collapse, you adapt. You handle it with the virtues of courage and wisdom. Now apply this to a social fear. Visualize a close friend becoming angry when you set a long overdue boundary. You picture their face, you hear their sharp words, and then you watch yourself in your mind's eye, staying calm. You see yourself listening, reaffirming your boundary with respect, and trusting that a true friendship can withstand this honesty. By mentally rehearsing this scene, you are not inviting conflict. You are vaccinating yourself against the panic of the unexpected. When you have already lived through the event in your mind and witnessed your own capable response, the real event loses its fangs. The anxiety that once would have paralyzed you is replaced by a quiet confidence because you have already walked this path and you know the way out. This practice systematically dismantles the nice guy's core operating system, which is built on a desperate need to control external events to feel safe. Premeditatio malorum teaches you that your safety does not come from a world without problems. It comes from the unshakable knowledge that you can handle the problems that inevitably arise. You are no longer avoiding storms, you are learning to stand firm in the rain, and that is a far more powerful place to live. Your character is the one possession no one can ever take from you. The nice guy believes his value is tied to his job title, his car, or the approval he can win from important people. He treats these external markers as proof that he is finally good enough. But this is a fragile kind of worth built on a foundation of sand. The Stoic teacher Musonius Rufus was born into high status, a Roman knight, and was then exiled not once but twice. He was stripped of his wealth, his home, and his position in society. Yet in exile, he continued to teach philosophy, living a simple life of manual labor. His students reported that his character seemed to shine even brighter when he had nothing left but his own principles. He had lost everything the world told him was important, and in that loss he discovered the one thing that truly was his unassailable inner self. His student Epictetus drove this point home with brutal clarity. He was born a slave, his body legally owned by another person. He had no status, no possessions, not even control over his own physical being. And yet, through the practice of Stoicism, he cultivated a mind so free that his teachings would eventually influence a Roman emperor. He would tell his students, "You are not your body, you are not your possessions, you are your reasoned choice." Your ability to choose your judgments and your actions with wisdom and integrity, that is the core of who you are. Everything else is just the set dressing for the play of your life. Think about the last time you felt a rush of pride from mentioning your job title at a party, or the hollow fear you felt when a friend bought a newer, nicer car than yours. In those moments, you are mistakenly believing that the thing, the title, the symbol was a part of you. You were outsourcing your self-esteem. When you tie your identity to your job, a single layoff can feel like a personal annihilation. When you tie it to your social standing, one awkward comment can send you into a spiral of self-doubt. But when you anchor your identity in your character, in your capacity for courage, honesty, and justice, you become untouchable. A recession cannot fire you from your virtues. A critical comment cannot strip you of your integrity. This insight systematically dismantles the nice guy's exhausting quest to collect enough status symbols to feel valid. You stop trying to be someone who has value, and you start being someone who embodies it, regardless of what you own or what title follows your name. The goal is not to renounce all worldly things, but to hold them lightly like a tool you are using for a time, knowing that your true worth was never in the tool itself, but in the hand that wields it. Gratitude is not a passive feeling, but a skill you actively build. The nice guy operates from a quiet sense of lack, clinging to relationships as if they were life rafts he is terrified of losing. This very clinging creates a subtle neediness that pushes people away, the exact opposite of what he wants. Stoicism offers a paradoxical exercise to dissolve this anxiety, a 14th insight known as negative visualization. You do not wait for a crisis to appreciate your health. You close your eyes and consciously imagine what it would be like to lose it. You picture the struggle of a simple walk, the frustration of a body that no longer obeys you. Then you open your eyes, and for a moment, the simple fact that you can stand up and move is transformed from a given into a gift. You apply this to your most cherished relationships. You imagine your closest friend moving across the country, or a loved one no longer being a part of your life. You do not do this to dwell on sadness, but to shatter the illusion of permanence. You feel the genuine ache of that potential loss, not to suffer, but to return to the present moment with your vision clarified. Suddenly, the minor annoyance you felt toward that person evaporates. Your time with them feels precious, not guaranteed. This practice systematically dismantles the nice guy's sense of entitlement. He starts to see that no one is obligated to be in his life. Every conversation, every shared laugh is a temporary and beautiful gift. When you internalize this, your interactions become radically different. You are no longer interacting from a place of fear, worried about saying the wrong thing and losing them. You are interacting from a place of profound appreciation for the simple fact that they are here right now. This makes you more present, more attentive, and genuinely more engaged. People are drawn to this authentic presence because it feels like being truly seen, not strategically managed. Negative visualization turns your focus from what you might lose to the incredible fortune of what you already have. It replaces a desperate need for more with a deep, settled contentment with the present, and a person who is content is not a beggar for approval. He is a generous host sharing from a full cup, and that is a magnetism no nice guy act can ever replicate. The world's noise can feel like a storm, battering against your sense of self until you feel you have no choice but to surrender. The nice guy's instinct is to run for cover in the nearest available shelter, which is usually the approval of the people around him. But this shelter is flimsy, and the storm always returns. Stoicism offers a far more resilient sanctuary, a 15th insight that has weathered centuries of chaos. Withdraw into your inner citadel. This is not a physical place you escape to, but a mental fortress you deliberately choose to inhabit. Its walls are built from your core values, and its foundation is your capacity for calm reason. When criticism feels like a personal attack or social pressure mounts to betray a principle, you do not have to stand exposed in the gale. You can take a single mental step backward through the gates of this inner stronghold and close the door. Inside, the noise of external events becomes a distant murmur. The harsh words, the demanding expectations, the shifting moods of others, they lose their power to define your reality. In this quiet space, you can consult your own compass. You can ask the only question that matters right now: what does my virtue require of me in this situation? The answer is never found in the frantic reactions of the crowd, but in the deep, settled knowledge of who you are and what you stand for. This withdrawal is not an act of cowardice or disengagement. It is the ultimate act of self-preservation and strategic clarity. You are not running away from the problem. You are stepping back to a place of stability so you can address the problem from a position of strength, not fear. Think of a time you felt overwhelmed in a heated argument. The nice guy reflex would be to either capitulate just to end the conflict or to lash out with equal anger, both reactions governed by the external chaos. The Stoic move is to pause, even for just 3 seconds, and consciously retreat inward. In that brief mental silence, you reconnect with your value of courage, which is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act rightly despite it. You remember your commitment to justice, which demands you treat the other person with respect, even in disagreement. From this centered place, your response changes entirely. You might say, "I need a moment to collect my thoughts," or you might respond to their emotion with a calm, "I hear your frustration. This is not weakness." This is the immense power of a mind that has found its own unshakable ground. Your inner citadel is always available, a refuge built not of stone, but of the principles you have chosen to live by. The more you practice stepping inside, the more you realize that the person you are in there, the one guided by reason and virtue, is the only self that was ever truly worth defending. A coherent life is a powerful life. This is the deep promise of the 16th Stoic insight: to act according to your nature. For the Stoics, nature was not simply the world of trees and rivers. It was the essential character of a thing. The nature of an acorn is to become an oak tree. The nature of a knife is to cut, and your nature, as a human being endowed with reason, is to live a life of virtue. Your highest expression is to act with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-command. This is what you were designed for. The nice guy, in his desperate pursuit of social harmony, acts directly against this fundamental design. He suppresses his reasoned judgments, he silences his honest voice, he betrays his own sense of justice, all for the fleeting comfort of external approval. He is like a mighty oak tree, bending itself into the shape of a weeping willow because it thinks the wind will like it better. This is a life of profound internal contradiction, a constant war between who you are and who you pretend to be. Acting according to your nature is the end of that war. It means you speak your mind when your reason tells you a truth needs to be heard, even if your voice shakes. It means you pursue the work that feels like a genuine expression of your purpose, not the career that looks most impressive to others. It means you uphold justice by defending someone who is being treated unfairly, even when it is socially risky to do so. Every time you choose this path, you are aligning with your own essential design. You are not being aggressive or rebellious. You are simply being what you are, a rational being acting with integrity. The result is a life that feels solid and coherent. Your thoughts, your words, and your actions are all pointing in the same direction. There is no more exhausting mental gymnastics, no more frantic recalculations of what you should have said. You are no longer a collection of fragmented pieces trying to please a dozen different audiences. You are a single, integrated whole, and that kind of wholeness projects a quiet, magnetic power that no amount of people-pleasing could ever hope to achieve. Your mind is the final frontier, the only battlefield where the war for your character is truly won or lost. This is not a conflict with other people, but an internal campaign against the deeply ingrained programming of the nice guy, against the irrational fears that whisper you are not enough, and the desires that tempt you to trade your integrity for a moment of comfort. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who spent years on military campaigns, understood this better than anyone. He wrote in his private journal, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Every anxious rehearsal of a conversation, every moment of resentment for a favor you did not want to give, every flash of envy, these are not harmless daydreams. They are pigments staining the very fabric of your being. The nice guy mindset is a dye of fear and neediness, and it will color every action you take until you consciously choose a different palette. You must see yourself not as a victim of your thoughts, but as a warrior of the mind, a guardian at the gate of your own inner citadel. Your daily training is not a chore. It is an epic personal campaign. Your sword is the wisdom you gain from reading and reflection, cutting through the fog of social conditioning. Your shield is the practice of voluntary discomfort, deflecting the blows of fear and anxiety. Every time you challenge your comfort zone, you are winning a skirmish. Every time you pause before reacting and choose a reasoned response over a fearful one, you are securing a vital stronghold. This is the grand refrain that changes everything. Self-development stops being a tedious checklist of things you should do and becomes a heroic journey of who you are becoming. You are not just trying to be less agreeable. You are on a campaign to reclaim your soul from the tyranny of external approval, to dye it with the colors of courage, self-respect, and unwavering purpose. That inner campaign requires a constant source of fuel, a way to transform the inevitable friction of life into strength. Every single setback you encounter is not a verdict on your journey, but a vital piece of your training. This is the 18th Stoic insight, the art of viewing every challenge as a deliberate exercise provided by the universe itself. Think of a professional athlete. They do not step onto the field on game day without having endured months of grueling practice. They run drills, they lift weights, they push their bodies to the point of exhaustion, all for the singular purpose of being ready for the main event. Your life is no different. The universe is your coach, and it is putting you through a custom-designed training regimen. That rejection you just faced was not a failure. It was a resilience drill. Its purpose was to condition your emotional muscles, to teach you how to absorb a blow and keep moving forward with your purpose intact. That difficult person in your office, the one who seems to exist only to test your patience, is not a curse. They are your designated sparring partner for temperance and understanding. Every interaction with them is a round in the ring, giving you a chance to practice keeping your cool under pressure, to respond with reason when every fiber of your being wants to react with anger. For the nice guy, this refrain is revolutionary. A social snub is no longer a deep, personal wound confirming his worst fears of being unlikable. It is now a practical lesson in detaching his self-worth from the fleeting opinions of others. It is a specific, targeted exercise in the virtue of justice, reminding him that his value is internal and cannot be diminished by someone else's rudeness. When you start to see your life through this lens, the sting of pain begins to fade, replaced by a layer of purposeful engagement. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this training me for? What virtue is this situation demanding that I strengthen?" This mindset turns you from a passive victim of circumstance into an active student of life. You begin to greet difficulties not with dread, but with a quiet curiosity, ready to learn the lesson each one has to offer. The obstacle is no longer an enemy. It is your most demanding and most effective teacher. Resignation is a quiet surrender, a slow leak of your power. You tell yourself you have to put up with a draining job, a one-sided friendship, or a constant inconvenience, all while secretly gathering resentment. This is the nice guy's trap, mistaking passivity for peace. But Stoic acquiescence is something entirely different, a conscious and powerful choice to accept reality without complaint, not so you can lie down, but so you can stand up and act with clarity. It is the difference between sighing, "I am stuck in this terrible traffic jam," and calmly stating, "I am in a traffic jam." The first is a complaint that fuels frustration. The second is a simple fact that frees your mind to ask the only useful question. Given this reality, what is the virtuous thing to do now? Perhaps it is to use the time to listen to an audiobook or to simply practice patience. The situation itself may be outside your control, but your response to it is your absolute domain. Think about a project at work that suddenly changes direction, undoing weeks of your effort. Passive resignation would have you complaining to colleagues, dwelling on the unfairness, and mentally checking out. Your energy is spent fighting a reality that has already happened. Active acceptance looks like this. You take a deep breath and acknowledge the new direction is now the current reality. You release the frustration over the wasted time. Then you immediately pivot your focus to the one thing you can control, how you will apply your skill and effort to this new challenge. You are not agreeing that the change was good. You are simply accepting that it is and choosing to channel your energy into a productive rather than a resentful response. This is how you reclaim your agency. You stop arguing with what is and start building from what is. Acquiescence is not about giving up, it is about gearing up, clearing the emotional debris so you can see the actual path forward and walk it with purpose. That fierce protectiveness of your inner world must extend to your most finite asset, the very moments of your life. The nice guy fritters away his days on trivial pursuits and people who do not value him, operating under the quiet hope that this wasted time will somehow earn him the favor he craves. He says yes to another tedious social obligation. He spends hours crafting the perfect inoffensive response to a message. He lingers in conversations that drain his spirit, all while his own dreams and deepest relationships are quietly starved of attention. This is not merely poor time management, it is a slow and quiet theft of your own existence. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote a blistering essay on this very topic, on the shortness of life. His argument was not that life is inherently short, but that we make it so. We are not given a short life, he wrote, but we make it short, and we are not ill-supplied but wasteful of it. Life is long enough, he insisted, if you know how to use it. The tragedy is that we often only realize how much time we have squandered when it is already gone. Think about the last week. How many hours were spent anxiously scrolling, rehearsing conversations that will never happen, or performing tasks for others that they are perfectly capable of doing themselves? Each of those hours was a piece of your life you willingly handed over, a small death in exchange for a fleeting moment of social safety. People-pleasing is not free. Its currency is your time, and the price is your potential. Every yes to a trivial request is a silent no to your own growth. Every afternoon sacrificed to manage someone else's emotional state is an afternoon stolen from your loved ones, from your health, from the work that gives your life meaning. This is not a call to selfishness, but to profound stewardship. Your time is the one resource you can never get back. When you internalize this, a new kind of ferocity awakens. You begin to guard your calendar with the same intensity you would guard your inner citadel. You start to ask a ruthless question before committing your energy. Is this activity, is this person worthy of a piece of my one and only life? This is not about building walls, but about building bridges to what truly matters. The time you reclaim from people-pleasing does not vanish into a void. It is the space where your purpose finally gets to breathe. It is the hour you now have to read, to create, to walk with your child, to build something that outlasts you. Protecting your time is the ultimate act of self-respect, a declaration that your life is not a currency to be spent on the approval of others, but a legacy to be built with intention. That relentless search for approval is a hunger that can never be satisfied. You become a puppet, your strings pulled by every compliment you crave and every criticism you fear. This is the core mechanism of the nice guy trap, and Stoicism offers the final, decisive cut to those strings. Your validation must come from within. Think of it as keeping two different scorecards. The external one is a chaotic mess filled with the ever-changing opinions of others, the fickle nature of luck, and the unpredictable outcomes of your efforts. You cannot control this scorecard, yet the nice guy spends his entire life trying to, basing his entire sense of worth on numbers he did not write and cannot change. The internal scorecard is different. It is simple, clear, and entirely in your keeping. It has only a few questions on it. Did I act with courage today, even when my voice shook? Did I choose the path of wisdom over the easy lie? Was I just in my dealings, treating others with fairness even when no one was watching? Did I exercise self-command, mastering my impulses rather than being mastered by them? Your score on this internal card is the only one that matters. When you make a mistake, you do not look for someone to absolve you. You look inward, acknowledge the misstep with clear eyes, and commit to doing better next time. That act of honest self-assessment is itself a point of virtue. When you succeed by external measures, a promotion or public praise, you enjoy it lightly, like good weather, knowing it is not the source of your value. The ultimate freedom arrives when you truly internalize this. The praise of others becomes a pleasant background noise, and their criticism becomes mere data, not a verdict. You are no longer hooked on the drug of external validation because you have found a nourishing, permanent source of strength within yourself. You are finally unshakably free. Your social blunder is not a global event. It is a tiny, fleeting moment in the vast expanse of human history. This is the perspective you gain through the 20-second Stoic insight, a mental exercise called the view from above. Close your eyes for a moment and begin to pull your awareness back, up and out of your own head. See yourself from above, sitting in your room. Now pull back further, seeing your building, then your neighborhood, a tiny grid of streets. Keep going. Your entire city becomes a smudge on the landscape, your country a shape, the earth a brilliant blue and white marble hanging in the profound black silence of space. From here, all of human activity is reduced to its true scale. The empires that rose and fell, the wars fought, the great loves and tragedies, all of it happening on this small, fragile sphere. Now bring your focus back to your own life. That awkward comment you made at dinner last week, that moment of rejection you cannot stop replaying, where is it now? It is a microscopic event lost in the sheer immensity of time and space. This is not meant to make your life feel meaningless. It is designed to free you from the tyranny of your own ego. The nice guy's anxiety is born from a magnifying glass held too close, distorting a single moment into a catastrophe that defines his entire world. The view from above replaces that magnifying glass with a wide-angle lens, revealing the true context of your existence. You are a brief, beautiful flicker of consciousness in a cosmos of staggering scale, connected to every other flicker on this planet. Your fundamental task is not to ensure every single person approves of your tiny flame, but to burn as brightly and authentically as you can with the time you have. When you carry this expanded perspective back into your daily life, the small stuff truly stays small. The fear of a social misstep loses its power because you are no longer just an individual performing for a judgmental crowd. You are a part of the whole human story, and your real contribution is the integrity you bring to your own small, essential part in it. Your harshest judgments are likely reserved for the person in the mirror. You replay your own mistakes on a punishing loop while making endless excuses for the poor behavior of others. This is a twisted form of justice where you are both the unjust judge and the condemned prisoner. The Stoics offer a profound rebalancing of this scale with their 23rd insight: be strict with yourself but tolerant with others. This is often the most misunderstood part of the philosophy. People mistake Stoicism for a cold, unfeeling harshness toward the world. In reality, the strictness is meant to be directed inward, and the tolerance is meant to flow outward. Your own mind and character are the only things you have real authority over. This is your domain, the inner citadel, and you are its sole guardian. It is your absolute duty to be a strict, unwavering guardian of that space. You hold yourself to the high standards of wisdom, courage, and justice. You do not let your own fears or laziness dictate your actions. You demand integrity from yourself because you are the only person you can truly command. But when you turn your gaze to other people, your role changes entirely. You are no longer a commander but an observer. You see someone acting poorly, and your instinct as a recovering nice guy might be to either condemn them as a bad person or to internalize their action as a reflection of your own worth. The Stoic does neither. They see a person who is acting from a place of ignorance about what is truly good. They are mistaken, just as you are mistaken when you act against your own virtues. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of this. When faced with a frustrating, dishonest, or lazy person, he would not fume with anger. He would calmly note to himself, it is their nature to act that way. They cannot see the good, and so they pursue a shadow of it like wealth or status. To expect them to act differently is as irrational as expecting a fig tree to produce olives. Your tolerance, then, is not a weak acceptance of bad behavior. It is a rational understanding of human nature. It is the recognition that everyone is on their own path, with their own blind spots and their own struggles. This understanding shatters the nice guy's exhausting cycle. He stops being lenient with others who drain his energy and then turning that same stolen energy into self-criticism. Instead, he becomes firm with himself, upholding his own boundaries and values with disciplined resolve. And toward others, he practices a calm tolerance, not by condoning poor behavior, but by refusing to be emotionally derailed by it. He meets their ignorance not with his own in the form of anger or resentment, but with the quiet understanding that they, like him, are still learning. This is how you break the chain of resentment and replace it with a steady, unshakable peace. That persona you have been wearing is not your true skin. It is a costume stitched together from fear and the desperate hope that if you are agreeable enough, the world will finally grant you the safety and love you crave. The nice guy is a performance, and every performance has a final curtain. Stoicism calls for that final act, not with a sense of loss, but with the profound recognition that this death is a necessary rebirth. This is the 24th Stoic insight. The death of the nice guy is the birth of the good man. Let us be clear about the distinction because they are polar opposites. The nice guy is a manipulator. His kindness is a transaction, a covert contract that says, if I am helpful and never rock the boat, you owe me your approval, your affection, your loyalty. When the world does not pay up, he becomes resentful and bitter because his entire strategy was built on a hidden agenda. He is insecure, constantly monitoring the social weather, changing his colors to blend in. He is inauthentic, a collection of reactions rather than a source of actions. The Stoic good man is built on an entirely different foundation. His goodness is not a strategy but a consequence. It flows from his commitment to virtue itself. He is resilient not because he avoids storms, but because he has built an inner citadel that can withstand them. He is authentic because his words and actions spring from his own reasoned choice, not from the shifting opinions of the crowd. He does not need to pretend to be good because he is actively practicing the work of becoming good. Think of the difference in a single scenario. A friend asks to borrow a significant sum of money. The nice guy, terrified of saying no and losing the friendship, immediately says yes, even though it creates a genuine financial strain for him. He pays the money, but he also pays with his peace of mind, secretly waiting for the gratitude and loyalty he feels he has purchased. If the friend is slow to repay or acts entitled, the nice guy's resentment boils over. The good man approaches the same request from a place of principle. He considers his own responsibilities and his capacity to help without resentment. If the answer is no, he states it with calm honesty. I value our friendship, and because of that, I cannot lend you money right now. He understands that a real friendship can withstand an honest no, and that a friendship that collapses from one was never truly solid to begin with. His focus is on acting with integrity and justice, both to himself and to his friend, rather than on manipulating an outcome. This death of the nice guy persona is therefore the most positive transformation you can undergo. It is not about becoming a jerk, someone who is harsh or indifferent. That is just the nice guy wearing a different, angrier mask. The true good man is strong because he is reliable. You know where he stands. He is kind because he chooses to be, not because he is afraid not to be. He is the calm anchor in a chaotic world, not by pretending everything is fine, but by having the courage to face what is real. Shedding the nice guy is not a loss of your goodness. It is the moment you stop performing kindness and start embodying strength. Your character is not a fixed monument, but a living structure you are building with every single decision you make. The final insight is this powerful truth that you are the sum of your choices. Every time you opt for honesty when a polite lie would be easier, you are laying another brick in the foundation of your integrity. Each moment you choose courage over the comfort of silence, you are reinforcing the walls of your inner citadel. The nice guy persona is not a life sentence. It is a collection of habits, a well-worn neural pathway that you have walked down for years because it felt safe. The great news is that pathways in the mind are not concrete. They are more like trails through a field. If you stop walking the old path of people-pleasing and start carving a new one by making virtuous choices, the old trail will eventually grow over and disappear. This is not a grand, overnight transformation. It is the quiet work of the morning, deciding to speak your mind in a meeting. It is the small victory of the afternoon, choosing to protect your time for a meaningful project instead of saying yes to a trivial request. It is the peaceful resolution of the evening, reflecting on your day and acknowledging where you stood your ground. You are not trying to become a different person. You are returning to the person you are always meant to be, one courageous, honest, self-respecting choice at a time. This is your agency, and it is available to you right now. The entire philosophy of Stoicism culminates in this simple, liberating practice: the power to choose who you will be, not in some distant future, but in the very next moment that calls for your courage. That collection of daily choices is the final, quiet revolution. You began this journey feeling the ache of self-betrayal, twisting yourself into a pretzel for a world that never seemed to pay its dues. You were living as the disempowered nice guy, a role built on a faulty foundation of external validation. Now you stand at the threshold of a different life, equipped with 25 Stoic insights. These are not just philosophical ideas to be admired from a distance. They are the practical tools for daily reconstruction, the chisel and the hammer you use to carve out your authentic character. This is the shift from being reactive to being proactive, from seeking permission to claiming your own agency. The path forward is not about perfection, but about practice. Do not feel you need to master all 25 insights at once. That would be like trying to build the entire citadel in a single day. Instead, choose just one or two to focus on this week. Perhaps you will start with the dichotomy of control, consciously sorting your energy between what is yours to command and what is not. Or maybe you will practice voluntary discomfort by having that one difficult conversation you have been avoiding. Each small, deliberate action is another brick laid in the foundation of your unshakable self. Your journey is unique, and your first step is the most important one. We would love to hear which Stoic insight resonated most deeply with you. Share it in the comments below and let us know how you plan to apply it. If you are ready to continue building a life of purpose and authenticity, subscribe for more content designed to strengthen your character from the inside out. The work continues, one courageous choice at a time.